Hey, what's up? Welcome back, YouTube, to more MSQ playthrough. We are in Endwalker, and we've just got into Labyrinthos. I have three people that I can talk to, I believe. I've got Dobbin here, Teve, and then Aaronville. And Aaronville, I know from the Dawn Trail trailer, so I want to speak to him last, actually. So let's talk to Dobbin. But these are gleaners. These are people who like grab artifacts for the forum. You want to know what I'm doing? Hauling books and ore and fauna. If it needs hauling, I haul it. Every decade or so, they take stock in Labyrinthos. You know, sort and tidy up the inventory. Never seen an operation like this before, though. They just did one a few summers ago, even. Then, with no warning at all, this mess gets dropped in our laps. Orders from on high. Damned if I know the reason. Could be that they're changing the layout? Preparing for the next big expansion? I get it. Your exchange with Dobbin has taught you about taking stock in Labyrinthos. Let me think. The Rhea seeds should be item 1058, cumin seeds 1059, snurpleberry 1060, or were they 1061? My head feels like it's stuffed with moko grass. Why more loads to take out than carry in? Why do all this at once and risk mixing it up? What if someone mistakes the Corothan carrots for the Girabanyan carrots? What then? Your exchange with Teve has taught you about large shipments coming in and out of Labyrinthos. I've actually already spoken with, before I started the recording, Alice, Alphanode, Cryo, and Ishtola. And they just like offer little bits, like Cryo's telling you to talk to everybody around here. Ishtola's talking about how she's not forsaking her duty, she's just taking in the scenery. Alice is telling that person to start over, and then Alphanode, I don't remember. You're here to help or to give me more headaches, because you don't have the look of a gleaner, and I'm in no mood for idle chatter. One of my colleagues was so exhausted, he took a tumble and crashed into a pile of crates. Now I have a pack of marmots running loose. Your exchange with Aaronville has taught you about exhausted gleaners. Any luck, Mask? What tales did the gleaners have to tell? So this grand operation began without warning, and for every item they bring in, they're sending more inventory somewhere else. That would explain the haggard faces I've been seeing. We were right. The forum is definitely up to something, and they're turning Labyrinthos upside down in the process. We would do well to learn more of what, specifically, the Gleaners are being tasked to do, as well as who asked them to do it. If you're game, I have an idea. Didn't one of the Gleaners you questioned say something about escaped marmots? Perhaps if you were to help him capture said creatures, he might be inclined towards a more friendly and enlightening conversation. In the meantime, I will turn my charms upon this Gleaner here. We can compare notes afterwards. Happy hunting. You wish to help me find the marmots? I have nothing suitable to pay you for your services, but if you're offering out of the goodness of your heart, I'd welcome the assistance. The name is Aaronvale, friend. Specialist in the collection of live specimens. That said, the capture of these Noxian marmots is a trial I've no desire to repeat. Grizzled mice, they call them. For mercy, there are no other marmot species on this tier at present, so there should be no mistaking our little fugitives. If you happen to catch any, stuff them in this sack. Gently, of course. Where to begin, you wonder? I've not seen any scampering around here, so we'll need to widen our search into the surrounding forest. Be on your guard. There are beasts out there that won't hesitate to prey on a marmot, or you. I'll search the trees to the west. The eastern part of the forest is all yours. Good luck. Barely have you readied the sack when the grizzled mouse scampers off into the underbrush. The rodent nimbly evades your grasp before once more disappearing into the trees. More prepared for its speed this time, you succeed in closing the sack over your elusive quarry. How did you fare? I tracked down 3 of the pack, which leaves 1 unaccounted for. Ah, there's the odd marmot out. Wait, here a moment while I put our friends in a holding cage. Thankfully, the marmots seem to be unharmed. They've held up well in isolation, but it's much too soon to release them into the habitat. It's a good thing we were able to capture them so swiftly. You have my thanks. Who tasked you to capture them in the first place? Why, the authority in charge of the Labyrinthos, now and in perpetuity. The same officials who've had us working day and night of late, the honorable members of the Forum, who else? Suitable for consumption and easy to breed. Those were the 2 conditions I was given for the stock I was instructed to procure. I don't know what the Forum has planned for these creatures, but at the very least, I doubt they'll be served for dinner today or tomorrow. There you are, MSQ. Is this the gleaner you mentioned? The one who was looking for lost marmots? Interesting company you keep, friend. Who are you folk, anyway? I am Cryle of the students of Baldesion. These others are my associates. Truth be told, the Forum's decisions of late have not sat entirely well with us. This is why we made the descent into Labyrinthos. We hoped that by seeing those decisions put into action, we might more fully understand the reasoning. Wise and practical. Never hurts to try and gain a broader perspective, does it? Anyway, duty calls. Other animals to capture and enclosures to empty. Once again, I'm sorry that I can't offer you more for your services. Did you learn anything new from your friend there? So we've confirmed that the order for this ambitious operation did indeed come directly from the Forum. However, the Gleaners have not been informed of its purpose. I'd say that fits with everything we've heard thus far. We also discovered when the operation was begun, the Forum contacted the Gleaners Guildship and put their people to this great work some 4 days after the Telephroi made their chilling declaration. As seasoned travelers, the Gleaners keep abreast of news from every corner of the world out of necessity. Thus am I inclined to trust that their calendar of events is accurate. Altogether, it gives us the distinct impression that this undertaking was a sudden and unexpected development. Yet I find it hard to believe that such a comprehensive reconstructing of Labyrinthos and its archives can have been planned in so brief a window. Nay, this plan was long in the making. They were but awaiting the right time to put it into effect. And the Telefroy's declaration, was that set in motion? It seems likely, but let us not leap to conclusions just yet. For the moment, I suggest we conduct a wider investigation of Labyrinthos. The more facilities we visit, the more pieces of the puzzle we stand to find. In that case, how about we head to the Archeon? From there, we can reach the lower... Cryo, what's wrong? I'm fine, truly. The sudden descent has me left with a bit of a headache, that's all. Nothing that will stop me from soldiering on. Let's be about it. At least allow me to take the lead. I'm fairly certain I remember the way to the Archeon. We follow the path east, through the forest where you were chasing after that mouse, or marmot, was it? Anyway, 'tis the trolls you need to watch out for. Ooh, we're gonna head towards a, Aetheryte. Behold, the Archeon, as Numenor serves as Sharlayan's literary archive. So does this structure house the city's wealth of material data. The architecture, too, is similar. This building you see is merely the upper entrance, an access point to the vaults carved into the cliffside itself. Within those vast rooms are stored countless samples and specimens, as well as the detailed records which describe them. In a manner of speaking, the Archeon contains a physical history of Sharlayan's unwavering dedication to the accumulative of knowledge. We won't learn anything of value standing out here. Let us proceed into the main building and speak with the custodian. Greetings. We are here to peruse the Archeon's vaults. Peruse? You are clearly not gleaners, then. Might I ask you of your affiliation? We belong to the students of Baldesion, but is that relevant? I was given to believe that the vaults, those open to the public at least, were open to the public. Ordinarily, yes, that would be the case. At present, however, access is restricted. Only persons directly involved in the reorganization efforts are permitted to enter. Not us, then. I suppose we had better move along to another facility. This building has a lift which connects to the middle tier, yes? Might we at least make use of that? That service has also been suspended, I am afraid. For the time being, priority has been given over to the conveyance of inventory. What? So this is as far as we can go? I apologize for the inconvenience. Please come again after a reconstructing operation is concluded. By that time it will be too late, and we are so close to getting answers. We need to rethink our approach. Let us step outside for the moment, shall we? Students of Baldesion. We are in an impasse. As we have no other leads, I should like to pursue this one further. But I doubt that our stone-faced custodian will be swayed by a heartfelt pleas. We must seek another means to access the lower levels. 'Tis likely that the people in this area are involved in the reconstructing of one way or another. If we were to ingratiate ourselves, they might allow us to accompany them on the lift. Let us ask around. Surely someone is in need of a few strong backs to lighten the load. What's that? Take you down on the lift with me? Sorry, but not a chance. I've been up and down all day, and only now, I have finally found a spare moment to rest. I did see a gleaner fellow heading onto the gate there, though, shouldering a large pack, engaged in some manner of task. Maybe he'll be headed down below after he's done with whatever he's doing. Am I taking the lift? Oh no, we're just students. They won't let us into the Archean even though we found... Actually, we have no idea what it is we found. There's no record of such a creature anywhere, but it was just wandering around Tranquility, and so we thought to donate it to the vaults. Oddest little squeal, don't you think? Anyway, I suppose we'll have to take care of it until Archean is open again. Quiet. You'll frighten it away. Ah, it's you again. I don't mean to be rude, but I'm in the middle of another task. The cloudkin I need to capture is close. Very close. You wish to help me with this too? Spend your time in an unusual ways, my friend. Still, 2 hunters are generally better than 1. Very well. The canal here is a common gathering spot for birds of all kinds, but the one I'm after today is the hornbill. Its feathers are green, and its cry a distinctive caw. Single it out and shoot it with this sleeping dart. The effects are short-lived, so I'll lie in wait down by the riverbank to claim our quarry. Be sure to hit the right one.
Fair shot. Nicely done. Let me truss this one up, and I'll make my way over to you.
There you are. Any new revelations? So you met with that gleaner again, this time to capture a hornbill. I understand catching and bringing in creatures from the outside, but what's the point of chasing after ones already here?
Oh, it's a simple thing, really. Occasionally, we remove specimens no longer needed for study, or those we've had difficulty raising. But we can't simply turn them loose. Safely returning such creatures to their native habitats is another facet of a cleaner's duties. But not in this case, I'm afraid. I've been asked to bring the bird below.
the restricted section in the lower levels of Labyrinthos. Open only to a select few researchers handpicked by the Forum. The projects down there are the subject of rumor and hearsay. Forbidden magics. Advanced technologies that can never be allowed to fall into outside hands. Even Archons are not privy to the truth. Those who are, the researchers involved in this secretive work, are not permitted to walk freely in the city, and are instead required to live in isolated quarters.
What could a facility subject to such strict security protocols possibly need with a hornbill? An experiment?
Possibly. I wasn't afforded an explanation. But judging by the requisition list given to me and my colleagues, I doubt it's for any kind of advanced research. I'd be more inclined to believe we were making preparations to migrate to the south. Mericidia or thereabouts.
What? Why would you say that?
Much of the flora and fauna we were asked to procure could serve as reliable sources of sustenance. They're comparatively hardy species too, able to endure harsh climates. And among them are specimens known to be effective in improving soil quality and purifying water.
When you put it that way, migration does sound like a reasonable assumption.
That's all it is, though. An assumption. Through our tasks, we gleaners glimpse only bits and pieces of the Forum's plans. Our prime concern is that our requisitions, be they living or otherwise, are properly preserved for the knowledge of future generations. Now, I really must be going. I regret that I cannot reward you as you deserve.
Perhaps you might reward us after a fashion then. It is imperative that we reach the lower levels. And seeing as you are already set to descend with your assigned cargo, mayhap we could accompany you as your assistants.
I'm afraid that won't be possible. Once the animals have been prepared for transport, we send them down separately via the lift. I will of course follow after to make my report, but I can hardly pass you off as porters when there's nothing left to carry.
Indeed. Pray forget I said anything.
How do you feel about climbing? If you've strength and the courage to brave it, then there is another way down. This path leads to the 33rd facet, a mine shaft excavated during one of our expansions of Labyrinthos. While I cannot guarantee that the passage is safe to traverse, it should provide access to the Medial circuit below.
I never even knew such a place existed. Thank you. This is the perfect solution.
You're quite welcome, but consider yourselves warned. If the going proves too treacherous, you'd do well to turn back. I bid you good day.
Well, turning back is hardly an option, not when we've come this far. Let's go and take a look at this mine shaft.
Anvil seems pretty cool. Super helpful. Straight to the point, no bullshit. Doesn't hide anything. So we're trying to go down. It seems we're going up. Oh, this is crazy. Oh, this is crazy. Goes down, down, and down, and down, and down, and down. This must be it, the entrance to the mine shaft. 'Tis faint, but I hear something moving within. Creatures homed there by the researchers, you think? Well, slavering beasts aside, we will need to watch our footing. We should tighten our straps and such before we continue. We got a hat piece. The music's nice and lovely. Assuming everyone's tightened their straps and checked their gear, then I say we head on in. Given the terrain ahead, though, it might be wise to leave some distance between us. We don't want to be stumbling over each other if it comes to a fight. Take it slow, and don't forget to check your surroundings from time to time. We can meet up again at the other end of the tunnel. Nice wide open areas, thank you. Forced fight, it seems. Like, why survey? Why not just keep going? Oh, okay, see. It's going way down now. Everyone seems to have made it through without incident. Nothing of consequence, at least. And as promised, the tunnel has delivered us into the Medial court. As I recall, this tier is where I have to sneeze. Excuse me. As I recall, this tier is where they keep a wide variety of samples for agriculture production. If Erenville's assumption holds true, that specimens are being collected in preparation for a great migration, then we should see evidence of such plans in the area's research projects. Let's follow the path to the nearest farming facility and see what we see. Ah, now I know where we are. This is Medial Ergonomics. Labyrinthos is host to a wide variety of vegetation, which allows us to conduct studies on cultivation methods utilized in foreign lands, and it is this facility which coordinates and oversees those efforts. The fruits of their research go to feed their Labyrinthos colleagues, or so I hear. More notable successes might make it to the Agora. Food so exotic you'd be hard-pressed to guess their origin, let alone how they might taste. Indeed, mystery vegetables without a name, only a list of nutritional benefits scribbled on a card. I see no gleaners hereabouts, yet these workers seem to share that same sense of urgency. 'Tis possible they know something of the forum's plans and their underlying motivations. Worth looking into, wouldn't you say? See what you can coax from the workers. The rest of us will do the same or cast about for useful clues. Oh, hello there. We weren't expecting visitors. Not with use of the lift, being restricted. How did you make it down here anyway? The mine shaft, you say? Well, you're a much hardier soul than I. Under normal circumstances, I reward such tenacity with a guided tour of the fields, but I'm afraid the forum has us filling order lists a mile long. Massive yet detailed requests. Literal wagon loads of crop samples and hardly any time to put them together. When I first heard of this grand reorganization, I assumed we would be shuffling around old stock to make room for the new. Then came the orders for ridiculous quantities of seeds we've already thoroughly researched. Nothing strange. I pressed for an explanation and was met with vague assurances that all would be revealed in due course. Not the most satisfying answer. Do I have all to be taken down below? More than I can carry and then some. Most of our stock is sent off via the cargo lift, but some has been earmarked for aerial transport, hence the stack of crates atop that hill over there. But hauling the lot up that slope was a job and a half. What crops are we raising? Well, as you can see, this one is a variety of grape. Only needs a good source of sunlight to grow, and the conditions here are nothing short of perfect. Hardly surprising, given that it's a native to a particular local in the very place upon which Labyrinthos was modeled, a region in the south of Isabard. It boasts remarkable habitat diversity, allowing for myriad flora and fauna to thrive. Chilly peaks in the north give way to swaths of temperate plains, which in turn transition into a hot, humid coastline. Such bountiful territory is ever contested, as you might expect. Used to be called Corvos before the Imperials renamed it Locus Anemones. The forum saw it not as a prize, however, but as a researcher's ideal environment, one whose climates we strove to recreate within the confines of Labyrinthos. It's since provided a rich foundation for countless experiments in cultivation. The labels on these crates tell the story of their contents, bundles of common seeds and saplings accompanied by sheaves of reports.
Hard to look away, isn't it? But they're more than pretty flowers. Heart blooms are attuned to ambient emotion.
You don't seem convinced, but believe me, it's true. This ashen grey, for instance, it mirrors the anxiety and urgency of those working nearby as they rush to fulfill sudden orders. Intense feelings like those spur the petals to change colour. Bright glowing hues in the presence of joy, dark subdued shades for frustration or despair. Yet even with the collected wisdom of Charlian at our disposal, we've yet to identify the underlying principle of this empathic effect. And there are other mysteries besides. Although the flower is extraordinarily long-lived, its low reproductive rate has made it difficult to find younger populations growing in the wild. With too few sightings to map its distribution, and no closely related species to track, we've been unable to pinpoint its land of origin. To further complicate matters, every culture, even dimly aware of its existence, has given it a different name and mythos. Our attempts to study it via the historical record have been an exercise in frustration. As an avid botanist myself, I should one day like to unravel the Heartbloom's secrets. But I'm afraid other duties must take precedence. I will leave you to your thoughts.
Have you learned aught of interest? A flower that reacts to one's feelings. Strange. I must say, I have never heard of such a thing.
This is all very fascinating. But as it stands, we fail to gain any significant insight into the Forum's undertaking.
Indeed. While there is certainly enough activity to support Erenville's supposition that a priority has been placed on improving food production, unfortunately for our investigation, these workers were never informed as to how their duties serve the master plan.
If only we could interrogate the Forum members directly. Isn't that the entrance to the Arcane? Look, there. I think that's Erenville.
A little difficult to tell from here, but I think you're right. He did say he was coming down to make his report.
Erenville receives his orders from the Forum. Would it not follow, then, that the superior to whom he reports is a Forum member, or at least a close associate?
You mean to eavesdrop on their conversation? What of the risks?
Ours alone to bear. We won't interfere with Erenville's work, nor will he be implicated as an accomplice. If you're not comfortable taking part, I can do this alone.
Nay. I said myself that I wished to know Father's intentions. And no answers will be forthcoming should we simply ask nicely.
We can apologize later, should it come to it. Right now, we need every crumb of information we can get our hands on. Consequences be damned.
It might be best if you came along as well. In fact, we should all... Cryer?
Oh, yes. That certainly sounds like a plan.
I'm glad you agree.
Quick! Quickly! Erenville is on the move. We need to get closer before we lose him. Almost. I can almost reach you.
Oh, she acting real strange. real strange. Is Crow still feeling unwell? I've never seen her so distracted. Keep an eye on her, but keep moving too. We cannot let our quarry slip away. Erenville was headed westwards along the path outside the Excuse me. Come, we can still catch him. Hold a moment. I have an idea. If memory serves, that colossal wall-like structure is Logisticon Beta, one of Labyrinthus' climate control centers. It should have its own lifts, with which one could access the upper or lower tiers. Aye, if I were an agent on the forum, it would make for a convenient meeting place. Even if we happen to find Erenville in the company of said agent, we cannot expect them to reveal issues of importance as we nonchalantly stroll past. Nay, we shall have to remain undetected. If only Graha and his vanish spell were here. Oh, but there are other ways of turning invisible. Hippity hop, my little toads. Goodness! Unaccustomed to transfiguration? Worry not. It will wear off with the passage of time. I suggest you and your green companions hop along and catch up with Erenville. Should you feel the magic's fading, return to me and I will refresh the enchantment. And what am I to do in the meantime? Wait here with me. In your current state of mind, you'd be as likely to leap into the jaws of a predator as you were to learn anything of note. Which reminds me, where are the creatures hereabouts? In that form, you are essentially defenseless. You have changed into a toad. You must remain transfigured in order to progress with quest objectives. You will return from your transfigured status if you move too far away. Look to your map for the transfiguration's area of effect. Speak with the Stola to restore or prolong the transfiguration. Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. Alpha Toad and Ali Toad are now accompanying you. Keep them at your side in order to proceed with quest objectives. Dun dun chick chick dugga dugga dun dun chick chick dugga da dun dun chick chick da 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 dun dun chick chick da 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 dun dun chick chick da 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 dun dun. Ali Toad turns to face the north. Perhaps she is suggesting you cross the bridge. Alpha Toad attempts and fails to shake his head, but you nevertheless understand that he is telling you this is the wrong way.
trust you will find your compensation to be more than satisfactory. We wish to make clear that we are pleased with the efficiency and thoroughness of your work. So much so that we have come bearing new tasks in need of your competent hand.
Another lengthy list. If I may speak frankly, the Gleaners have been pushed to the point of collapse by your unending demands. We are not familiars to be exploited. We are Charlian scholars, and we deserve an explanation for this unseemly treatment. What warrants such urgency?
In an age long past, Charlian was charged with a momentous duty. And now that word of the final days hangs heavy in the air, the time has come for us to fulfill that charge. I can say no more, but I promise you this. All will be revealed in due course. And when it has, you will understand that your toil was in service to the greatest good.
Then I will do your bidding. For now. But unless you wish the Gleaners to rise up in protest, I advise you to offer tangible improvements for our working conditions. Your promised revelation does nothing to address present circumstances.
A fair point. Your concerns will be conveyed to the Forum.
I hope that was informative. You may consider my debt to you repaid in full. While I do have my reservations about the Forum, I want to believe that they have our best interests at heart. Which is why I'm reassured that you're busy sniffing out the truth of things. We can ill afford to place all our eggs in one basket, this master plan of theirs, without first understanding the risks involved.
Wait! How did you know it was us?
If you mean to impersonate a toad, try studying the real thing. And don't try to fool an expert.
He's cool as shit. I suppose we should have known a gleaner who specializes in animal procurement would not be so easily deceived, yet he seemed inclined to put his trust in us all the same. More importantly, perhaps we've discovered a new piece of the puzzle, this monumentous duty the Forum agent mentioned. Charlian has been called to action, and the Telephoroid's declaration was the catalyst. Whatever charge it is they hope to fulfill, they deem it of sufficient import to disrupt all of Labyrinthos, not to mention ignore Eosia's request for aid. What duty could warrant the indirect involvement of the Forum and the commitment of all its resources? Judging by what we just heard, none of the Gleaners were offended any kind of explanation. At this point, it seems abundantly clear that we'll learn nothing new by pressing them further. We should head back to Ashtola and Cryo for the moment, see what they think of this. There's Cryo. Welcome back. I trust you found Erenvel then. Interesting. I had a feeling you would learn something important, even if that something was simply a confirmation that no one knows much of anything. We should share this with Cryo, then discuss how we'd like to proceed. Assuming we find her back at the farm, she was still behaving oddly, so I bade her return and rest there. Perhaps not the best decision in hindsight. Would you mind checking near those flowers she was so entranced by? The rest of us can survey the more distant areas, just in case she decided to wander. That is a broad area to look for this chick. You know what? What is going on with you, Cryo?
For you. The spell will keep it from wilting. She said you would need it for the journey ahead. Will you speak with her now? I cannot hope to match Minfilia's clarity, of course, but...
You talk to Minfilia? What is happening?
Do not worry. She has lent me her body for only a moment. Just as I could not save the first from the flood of light, it has become arduous for me to interact with the physical world without assistance. Though I might converse with you for a time, the incorporeal form I assumed on the ship would be incapable of casting even the simplest enchantment. It is in the depths of the ethereal sea, the place to which all life returns, where my influence is greatest. After Minfilia's sacrifice on the first, it was to the sea, here in the source, where I ferried her soul. I wished that gentle spirit to find rest in the world she loved so well. Her, and another who may yet have a part to play, though that will depend on you. Take the flower, walk free, for you are free, to go where you wish, to believe what you will. That bloom will be your guide, test and proof of your conviction. In darkness, seek joy. Surrender not to sadness, and see beyond despair. Walk free, and bear the light for others to follow. Together, raise it aloft and let it shine, till the end, blinding and radiant.
That was... all too brief. Already she seems so far away. My apologies if I startled you. Ever since we began our descent into Labyrinthos, I had sensed another's will, straining to reach out. Even with my particular talents, though, I was unable to make a connection at first. So weak and tenuous it was, once I took hold of that wispy thread. Imagine my surprise to discover it was Heidelin herself. Needless to say, it seemed wise to learn what we could before letting go. Her answers were more cryptic than I would have liked, but at least she left us with a guide of sorts, that unusual flower. Yes, we are definitely making progress. You can't be serious! We've done nothing wrong!
This fucker.
Master Fortuno, what business has the Forum with us?
Obstruction and suppression, apparently.
Mistress Baldessian, our records show you facilitated the Scions' entrance into Sharlayan by claiming them as assistants for your organization. We are aware of your investigations. After alerting the major institutions to the presence of potential troublemakers, we received word from an Archean custodian, a group operating under the auspices of the students, skulking about Labyrinthos and engaging in clandestine behavior.
Clandestine? We may not have entered Sharlayan as Scions, but we did naught to conceal our identities. Our only purpose in this city is to seek the truth. I can think of no reason why our actions should warrant the Forum's intervention.
'Tis not our way to discourage the pursuit of knowledge, but the timing of such pursuits must be considered, not to mention their potential impact. With the world in chaos, we, the true caretakers of wisdom, have committed ourselves to an undertaking that demands the utmost discretion. And we will not risk its success by turning a blind eye to disruptive foreign elements in our midst.
What then is to be our fate? Will you put us on a ship back to Eorzea?
The Forum will convene to examine your case. The results of said inquiry will determine your future in this city. As for your absent companion, he has already been detained.
Grah! But why? Is reading a crime now, too?
Reading is encouraged, celebrated even. Not, however, of the volumes shelved in the restricted section of the library.
Refusing to comply will only make matters worse. Let us instead treat this as an opportunity to open a dialogue with the Forum.
Silence is often one's best defense. I would advise against prolonging the proceedings with frivolous discourse. But enough. This is not the place for debate. The rostra await.
Oh, Cryo with her hood down.
Forgive me.
Adorable.
I was careless.
We would have been detained regardless. This way, at least, we managed to stay together. I trust your time within the Forbidden Archives was well spent.
The Forum will come to order. This inquiry is now in session. As Speaker-elect, I will be presiding over the day's proceedings. Master Fortuno, would you be so kind as to restate the matter which compelled you to summon your colleagues with such urgency?
As you are all aware, we recently denied Eorzea's request for Sharlayan assistance. Since then, certain individuals dissatisfied with our decision have taken it upon themselves to interfere with our work. They entered our nation masquerading as associates of the students of Baldessian. But these malcontents are better known as the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. These militants wield influence with both the Eorzean and Eastern alliances. and are inextricably involved with the crises presently afflicting the world at large. Loose in our city, these warmongers sought to meddle with and expose matters of state secret. What are they, if not a dire threat to be expelled?
You have tarnished the good name of the students. Galuf would be ashamed.
Galuf Baldessian was never one to forsake his fellow man. Even if this nation closed every door and retreated from the world, he would have found a way to help the Scions, help every soul of this star fight back against the coming doom.
A terrible enemy stands poised to lay waste to all we hold dear. In the face of such madness, Eorzea reached out to Sharlayan, a respected ally, in the hopes of forming a united front. Was your curt dismissal truly the best you could offer? Or are you so preoccupied with your momentous duty of an age long past that even the end of the world is unworthy of your attention?
Whence came this revelation?
From the mouth of a forum member within fortuitous earshot.
Then it seems your findings support my own. The reason I visited the restricted shelves was to study records of the forum's policymaking process, to better understand the historical trends underlying their most major decisions. At first glance, the positions of neutrality in war and the accumulation of knowledge above all else appear constant and consistent, the unchanging pillars of Sharlayan society. And once upon a time, I might have left it at that. These days, however, I am more attuned to the subtleties of governance, and so I noticed something odd. From a particular point in time, the purpose of these policies shifted. No longer was knowledge preserved for the benefit of society. Rather, society was to be gradually reshaped to ensure the preservation of knowledge. The most conspicuous and telling change was the one which befell Labyrinthos. Once little more than an oversized storehouse, an enormous allocation of funds saw it transformed into an advanced research and archival facility. I also discovered a fascinating account on the finances of our Dravanian colony. The settlement attracted students from far and wide, and the connections and tuition fees thus acquired were funneled into further improvements for the archives. Now, there is no question that our nation's progress is tied to the acquisition of wisdom. Nevertheless, the vast resources diverted for this purpose borders on the obscene. But returning to the matter of when, our change in course appears to have been made some 270 years ago.
The very same period when Sharlayan scholars in the hinterlands began a formal study of the ethereal sea. You found something, did you not? And whatever it was, gave rise to your oh-so-important duty.
I like how she said
Mind your
that.
tongue, Archon. If you had seen...
Yes, we are bound by a duty we cannot ignore. Knowing this, what would you have us do? Abandon our vital work and join you on the field of battle? We will never choose the way of the sword. We will fulfill our mission, not through strife and bloodshed, but survival. Come what may, we shall live on. We must.
Do as you must, then. But we Scions will fight until the heavens fall, until our last breath.
Such misguided zeal.
Father, Master Fortuno, I fail to understand the stance you have elected to take. But by the same token, I have yet to find a compelling argument to counter the challenge you put to us in Gridania. Still, in the midst of my uncertainty, I must trust in myself to do what is right, as others have chosen to trust in me. So I will continue, as I always have, weighing the consequences of my every action, and allowing my hope for the future to inform my decisions.
That's quite enough. Have you all forgotten the reason for this assembly?
Skolok Monteshane. He's the head of the Studium and an old friend of my grandfather's.
Honestly, every discussion devolves into some interminable debate. Terrible habit. Let's return to the topic at hand, By their own admission, these Scions have resolved to fight alongside the Eorzean nations against the doom which swift approaches. But there exists no evidence of an attempt to incite our citizens to do the same. Furthermore, while our decision may well have been the correct one, we cannot simply bull our way through these disagreements without inviting doubts or objections. Put yourselves in their place. Who among you would leave a tome unopened if an elder forbid you read it with no reason given? No. If we're to quell further discontent, then we must conclude this matter with a fair and even hand.
Order! We will have order! Master Monteshane raises some valid points. Keeping such concerns in mind, until further notice, the students of Baldessian are to cease any and all activities within the domain of Sharlian. You will also refrain from any further investigation into the Forum's decisions and duties. Failure to comply with these restrictions will result in the immediate expulsion of your Scion associates. Let us put this judgment to a vote. All in favor, raise your hand. I count 51 for and 48 against. The proposal is passed. Students, Scions, you have heard the Forum's judgment. Pray abide by it, or face the consequences. Honored members, I thank you for your time. This inquiry is concluded.
I have no idea what the hell they're gonna do now. You're forbidden to do anything within Sharlian, all activities and such. Like, that's crazy. I have no idea where we go from here, but we'll find out in the next one. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the journey. More to come. We'll see you next time.